Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
All right, this is Ed Cohen in San Diego, California, and you're on Global TV Talk Show. This is a business unit of globalbusinessnews.net. It's been around since '03. Google Analytics has been measuring things, if we can believe all that. They say 1.2 million reader page views since '03 from over 100 countries. But more realistically, Google says that Global TV Talk Show has been around since March of 2020, when our live conference business crashed and burned because of the pandemic. And so we've had to be in front of this green light right up here ever since. But the benefit is that we bring people into living rooms and phones wherever they go from around the world to meet and talk, exchange ideas, establish rapport if possible. And you and I have established rapport before today, and this has really been nice. So someday when we meet in person, we'll already be friends. This is Sarah Rapp in Vienna. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very, very excited, especially that it's the global show, because what I do like day to day is all things global pretty much. So I'm very excited to talk to you today.
So I understand you were born to be global.
Yeah, I mean, actually, this is like my tagline also on LinkedIn everywhere I go, because I feel that's just who I am, right? I didn't know that since the beginning, but now I know that, like, I don't really feel like, I mean, I have a German passport, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I feel German or I feel Austrian where I live right now. I just feel like it's connected to so many different cultures and so many different people around the world. So that's why I claim I was born to be global.
Yeah, there we go. And so tell us in a word how to be global. No, make it 2 words.
So how to be global is be open in 2 words, honestly.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, you can take 25 or 30 words. Tell us.
Okay, great. So be open in 2 words. So how to be global for me is honestly be open, be respectful, and be curious about other people, no matter where they come from, no matter what religion they believe in, no matter what values they have. And I always when I talk about this, it always feels like just exchange this little, I don't know what's going on, with curiosity, instead of being worried or offended or oh, I don't know, this is new. Just exchange it with curiosity, with an open mind. And then honestly, I feel like if everybody does that, we will solve so many problems around the world.
So let's talk about some business things for a second. So your day job is with an NGO. Tell us about
Exactly. Yeah, so I work for JA Worldwide, which is a global NGO. And our mission is to empower youth or equip youth with employment and entrepreneurship skills, right? So we have a big flagship program. I actually participated myself. It's called the J Company Program. And it's a one-year program when you are in school, high school most probably, and then you actually create your own startup, right? So pretty much the students in school, they learn how to do budgeting, how to create a marketing plan, and how to actually produce a product or service and then also sell it at the end of the day. So this is where I work for, and I'm in charge of building the global alumni networks around the world, right? Which is incredible because I participated myself 11 years ago, and now we're trying to create this big movement, which is very big already in all the countries where Jay is present in.
So 11 years ago when you were in high school?
Yep, 11 years ago. And since then I've been volunteering, and then since 4 years I work full-time on it.
So, and this is an NGO, that means non-government organization, but is it a charity?
That is a great question. So what we do, we are like a federated model, right? So we obviously have corporate partners, we have individual partners, and we are in 115 countries, and on every level, right? It's like a slightly different structure, but we're like kind of same, but a tiny bit different because all the countries work independently under the umbrella of JA Worldwide.
So I'm an old man, so I cannot join, right?
I mean, you can. We always have like, I mean, you can't join in high school, right, in the program, unfortunately. But what we do is we bring also businessmen and women into the classrooms, right, and have them as like business volunteers, as mentors for the students. So they get like this real world connection in between the education system and the actual world, what's going out there. So there's totally potential for everybody to join the organization, right, and to really honestly create the entrepreneurs of tomorrow in the classroom.
So did you learn to be a teacher?
I didn't actually. I studied business, but I was from right after when I graduated from the J program in school, I was volunteering for the organization, right? I was going to schools, I was teaching like the marketing projects, the finance things, the like how to set up a team thing. So this is like what I've been doing all the years for in like different countries, different levels. So I'm not like studied teacher, but especially in this like entrepreneurship sphere, I've done a lot of things.
So are your students, if you will, the younger people, are they diverse?
They are. They totally are, because JA, the organization, is present in more than 115 countries around the world. So as you can imagine, we have the programs are similar but different, obviously depending on the circumstances in the country or the school or the city where the kids live in, or we even have it like, let's say in rural areas in Africa or Venezuela, right? The project, obviously, the curriculum is similar, but the how we teach it is a bit different, obviously. Depending on, in Germany, you know, have all the setup, you have the classroom, you have the business volunteers and all that. So, but it's very, very diverse. And we also have competitions on a national level. So where the student companies compete against each other. And then we also have global regional finals. So Final of Africa for Asia Pacific and so on, where the students then interact with each other.
So how do you manage or cope with, but let's be proactive, how would you encourage and manage cross-cultural communications within this global environment?
That's a great question. And honestly, this is exactly why I started How to Be Global as my own brand, right? And also the podcast and everything, because I wanted to find out exactly what you just said. How do you communicate across borders? Well, I mean, first of all, there's the language barrier, right? That's like the number one thing. Obviously, our language across like the region and global level is English, right? But then when you go down to the country level, not everybody speaks perfect English. So that's why we have kind of like the structured model on like country, and then it's like the continental office and then the worldwide office. So that's one thing. But I think another thing, I mean, you can always learn English and the language, right? But then the second thing is, I think, for all of us to really have this open mind. And if you go into a meeting with someone from Mexico, from Singapore and South Africa, you have to kind of like communicate much, much more in that setup, because just because I'm understanding something doesn't mean that someone else understands the exact same thing, even though the words are the same. So I think what really helps us at JA, and generally what I always tell everyone, is like, ask more questions, right? Ask easy questions and really double check and like have, okay, is this what we all agree on at the end of the day, right? And then also take into consideration that in some cultures, the values are, if my mom calls me right before the work meeting, I'm going to pick up the phone and talk to my mom and I'll be late for the work meeting. Whereas in other cultures, it's if the mom calls right before a meeting, you just text the mom, I'm going to a work meeting, right? So it's like all these small little aspects, which are kind of tricky if you work cross culture. But I think if you keep that in mind and be like, always, a lot of people get offended in the beginning, right? They're like, oh, but why does this person and this person? And I think the key is to not get offended. If you feel, oh, what is going on? Just like ask instead of getting offended in the first place.
So you teach that, right? You embody it, but you teach it to the kids.
Yeah.
And so the kids are much more open than adults about dealing with people who are different from them.
Yeah. And also, honestly, like I feel like kids, they don't have all of the stereotypes, all of the prejudice you as an adult kind of like incorporate or hear from the news or neighbors or whatnot. And I mean, we all say no kid is born racist, right? Because they just don't know the concept of that, right? So I think it's so crucial for kids to have like this intercultural interaction at a very young age so they can realize, oh, they might look different than I do, but we're actually like just humans and we can obviously talk to each other very normal. So it's a very important point for them to really connect cross borders at a very young age, especially, I mean, in this digital world where we're in, right?
That's right. This is the world.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a timely announcement.
Hi, I'm Sergei Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we are researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on ED's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by ED, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Okay, so our job is to bring people, this is a teleconference, I mean, old-fashioned, but okay, we'll call it Zoom. So our job here is to bring people, business people from across borders and time and cultures to communicate, to learn from each other, learn the same thing at the same time, and establish rapport that, if people are lucky, could last a long time. So your alumni segment of work, your alumni segment of work, of the things you do, how much follow-up, how much engagement is included within that sphere?
That's a great question, and it's my favorite one because I work in the alumni field since many years. First on a voluntary base and now on a full-time actually working base. So what we're doing is what we really see is that after the students go through such a high impact program, which is a long time, and they have a lot of new experiences in this like hands-on learning, most of them come out with like a similar mindset, right? They all want to create something. They want to do something which is maybe not the 9-to-5 job necessarily, right? But they want to change something, make something better, create their own startups. And obviously we want to keep these humans in the network, right? Because they are the best networkers themselves and they can benefit from each other. So what we do is we have like an online graduation moment, right? Or in the countries, they're like, whenever COVID is over, they're like the competitions where they have like an official graduation from the program. And then we have, we started 2 years ago, an online platform, like a global one, obviously, where they can connect, right? And then we have conferences, all about networking, entrepreneurship, startup, all of that sphere. So that's like on a global side, but also what we encourage the students is like in their countries to take on leadership roles, right? To like actually lead the alumni network. And so they're like, let's say 17 and they're like the president of their alumni club, right? I mean, that's a cool responsibility for someone at that age. And what they also do, they obviously give back to JA. In the first place, obviously like time and volunteering hours and whatnot. And then obviously what we see in some countries where the alumni network have been established since, let's say 20 years, then when they're successful entrepreneurs, businessmen, they're happy to like maybe give back money or maybe give back advice, give back contacts, give back whatever something, right? So we're creating this ecosystem of entrepreneurs, honestly, at the end of the day.
So what's your population? How many people?
How many we have?
Yeah, how many people?
So we have in the alumni network, currently we have like 40,000 in our, like across the world, right? There's much more potential, obviously, but we have 40,000 and we're hoping to grow. I mean, we're growing on the daily, right? And then obviously this breaks down into like the regions and then the country activities. So yeah, it's quite a big number.
Can you outsource this or can you franchise this learning method of teaching the practicality things in grammar school or high school in the US, for instance?
Yeah, so what we do, we have a lot of different programs, right? So the one I was talking about is just the biggest and longest program, honestly. We also have programs for primary school, for for university. We have different day programs. We also have like job shadow. So, and since JA is in like 115 countries, I'm sure that everybody who's watching here, most probably there's a JA office in your country. And if there's not, we would obviously love to expand it. And what we do in the different areas is also collaborate with universities, collaborate with schools, collaborate with other things, right? To like bring the program from wherever it is to that other country together with different partners or with corporate partners. We even develop new programs, for example, around financial literacy, financial capability, right? Like it's constantly evolving. So it's kind of, I wouldn't want to call it a franchise because it's not the strict franchise, from McDonald's or something like this, right? It's more of like we always call it like fixed, flexible, and freestyle. They're like different sections of the collaboration.
This is fascinating. What else would you like to talk about? We have a few minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, I would love, I actually have a question for you, if I may ask you. So since you've been on the global show, you've done it for so many years. What was like, do you see a common pattern on like, business people from around the world, what they do the same instead of like, because we're always talking about differences, right, in business, but I would love to hear from you if you can see like a common pattern.
So, yeah, I can address part of that. So our main core connectivity is the business of large corporations and their talent management structure across borders. And then the idea is because the businesses want to sell stuff or make stuff and then ship it somewhere or sell, it's global, but it's local, but it's happening in a lot of places, right? Okay. So the idea then of commonality is talking with people across borders, across time, across cultures about that business. And then connected with this, adding a layer or a texture on top of that is the idea of sending you from Boston to Vienna or to Cairo or to Mumbai. And that's called relocation. But from a business point of view, there's taxes, there's legalities and compliances, there's personality stuff, personal problems, personal issues, as well as getting the work done. All right. And then there's also building up staff in another country from the corporate mentality. So they need to send a country manager somewhere. And then that country manager is supposed to train a local.
Yeah.
And then that country manager should go to another country or go back wherever they came from. And there's growth and development put in place. And so there's a lot of services connected with that process. And so those are the people that I talk with across time, across borders, across cultures. However, we're having this meeting today. and that's different. And I love this idea and would like to help promote JA as part of our own global business thing.
That's great.
So I'm looking for global things. And so we also want to expand our community, which means our network, by interviewing people in business activities who are located in Shanghai or in Taiwan or in Sydney or in Sri Lanka or Rwanda or wherever. So that's a goal of mine, to have this kind of a conversation with people around the world. And if we could partner, leveraging connections and introductions, that's all I need. And so, and there's no cost involved. We will have sponsors and advertisers who want their logo in front of our global audience. All right, so that's how we generate revenue. So, like last week I had a conversation with a business person in Munich, and then Sri Lanka, and coming up I have Bangalore, and then a week after, or no, 2 weeks after, in Delhi, and I've had in the last month conversations with people in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and also in Tehran, and Paris, Monaco, Geneva, and Sweden, and Mexico City, Toronto. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot, but there's a long way to go. We haven't done anything in Thailand or Guam. It's time.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you're doing like a virtual world tour in a week all the time, right?
Yeah, and just sitting here. Actually, I think we both should stand up and
I'm standing already.
Oh, yeah. I mean, oh my God, it's sitting too long. So this is the third show I'm doing today, and the last one. So I love what I'm doing. It's just
very cool,
inspiring, and producer Paul memorializes all this and makes it sound and look good, and then I do the marketing thing. So people from around the world will see this program a year from now.
Yeah.
Because it'll be on our site, and that connects to our YouTube channel, and it is also distributed directly by me out to our network.
That's great.
Which is in 100 countries. So now what I want to do is layer on top of that and speak to JA in every country possible, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a cool plan.
So earlier today, we had a conversation with the worldwide HR manager for talent mobility for IBM in New York. And last week, we had a similar conversation with the worldwide manager of talent mobility for the Ford Motor Company in Detroit. Just to give you an idea here, I'm not showing off, but just to show you the depth and the scope.
For sure,
of the communication that's going on.
That's awesome. No, that's amazing. I love the show, and I think it's amazing that you are doing it since so long, right? And you will keep going, which is really cool, which just helps to connect the world, honestly.
What's that song? That old Coca-Cola theme song?
Not sure.
But have a Coke along the way or something. I don't know. I can't remember the words suddenly. Yeah. But Louis Armstrong, his song, "What a Wonderful World It Could Be,"
True.
That kind of
Yep.
thing. So that kind of a feeling is what we like to engender as much as possible. But it takes people like you who are the spark, and because that's driving me to want to have you on our program.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm very glad that I'm here, right? And that I could share at least like bits and pieces from what I do and around the world. So that's pretty cool.
So let's shake hands. I'm going to stick my hand out.
Yeah, like.
All right. Okay. There we go. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
And furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach
the world to sing in perfect harmony. Your turn.
I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it
company. Thank you, producer Paul. That was great. And so thanks for being on Global TV.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Let's keep our rapport going and sing together again.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a pleasant night.
You too.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day. and stay safe.